Okay, I'm Pastor Mucko. Thank you for being here. It's our honor. Gary.
No problem. Good evening. Good afternoon. Afternoon. We'll do that. Well, you guys are like really quiet. I know it's after lunch, but it's way after lunch. You guys are like, we haven't even started yet. Yes, I am a Baptist, and yes, I sit in the last row like the rest of you. So I notice there's nobody in the front row. That's okay. So he did say I am law enforcement. I've been in law enforcement since 1989. Started out with the San Marcos Police Department, a little agency kind of off to our west. I was there when it was Southwest Texas State University. It's now Texas State University. No, it's not going to be that. It's still Southwest for me. When I left, it was Southwest. It will always be Southwest. My very first cop job was a mounted patrol officer. I rode horses. So the only air conditioning I had was as fast as the horse would go. The only problem with a horse is, what does anybody here know what a horse doesn't care about when it's running through the trees? Anything above its ears, it doesn't care. So you have to be very careful when you take off after somebody and he's running and you go through the trees. Yeah, you'll find yourself looking at the sky pretty quick. I did that more than once. It was exciting. Ended up working in another agency, came here to Houston, went to work for the Precinct 4 Constable's Office in 1993. Was there for 22 and a half-ish years. I left C4, went to work for the Sheriff's Office. While at Precinct 4, I thought I was going to try everything, because that's what you're supposed to do when you get a new job, right? You do it all, otherwise you just get pigeonholed. So I was a field training officer, traffic investigator, traffic officer, sergeant, corporal, lieutenant, had a blast. But in 2000, working in a technical services unit, we worked the very first cybercrime case that C4 had ever seen. In fact, it was one of the first cases Harris County had seen. We worked the first female traveler on record. I know that because we actually helped, the FBI came to help us work the case. They'd never seen one before. So a traveler is somebody who will cross state lines for the purposes of engaging in sex with a minor. Actually go across state lines. And this was a female. They'd never seen that before. The crazy part of this case was I was sitting at my desk. We had just moved to a new house. I'm getting the report, I'm looking at it, and I keep looking at it, and I can't, you know how you see things and it doesn't click? I mean, you see it, but it's not registering. I'm sitting there looking at it, all of a sudden it hits me what it is. It's 4 doors from my house. I'm sitting there and I realize it's 4 doors over. So I ended up working that case. It was a 14-year-old boy. He was being sexually solicited by a 34-year-old female out of North Carolina. They met at an AOL chat room. Kind of tells you how long ago that was, because AOL doesn't have chat rooms anymore. He had manic depression. She started talking to him, and next thing you know, she's in Houston, picking him up from his house without his parents' knowledge and taking him to the airport. And they were there for the entire weekend. She actually sent him gifts from her house down to Houston. She actually had someone, well, not someone, it was Sprint, go and install another phone at their house without the parents knowing. Actually had them go out and install the jack on the outside. You know how it comes up to the house? You have the box on the outside, and then the box goes to the inside. She had them bring a line up to the box on the outside, sent him a cordless phone. I know most of the kids are like, what's a cordless phone? All cell phones are cordless, right, Dad? No, these were when they had the big long antennas on them. You had to pull them up and you could talk on them. He actually put the phone on the outside of the house in a box and would talk to her using I'm about to date myself, the long distance calling cards. I mean, most of the kids are like, what's a long distance calling card? You remember those are the ones that you actually had to dial the number? It would say, call the number dial the number you want to call. You put in that number, then you put in your code, and it completed the call, and you got to make a long distance call. So she actually sent him all that stuff. We ended up working the case and having her brought back from North Carolina back to Houston. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Fast forward in 2015 when Ron Hickman, who was the then constable of Precinct 4, was selected to go become the sheriff for that short window. He offered me the opportunity to go build the very first cybercrime the sheriff's office ever had. How do you turn that down? You get to go build the first unit in the third largest sheriff's office in the United States that they've ever seen that does cybercrime? Sign me up. With that said, we went from 6 people in the unit. We're now at 27 people just in the last 5 years. We have a lot of other things we do as far as cybercrime goes and technical type stuff that we have to do, but we've grown it. We're going to get bigger. We still don't have enough people. We do a lot of things. We deal with a lot of kids. We deal with a lot of adults. That's a little bit about me. We're going to talk, and I walk, right? You see that? I'm back and forth. I can't stand still. I do know I talk fast, so if I start to talk fast, raise your hand, I'll slow down. You know, it's sad when the court reporter is sitting in front of you and you're testifying, because if you're in the testimony box, the witness box, the court reporter is usually right there. And she keeps looking up, could you please slow down? Yes. I am from Texas, I just got lots to say, so I will talk fast. But we're going to talk, and you're going to talk back. Because if all I do is stand up here and monologue for the next hour or so, we're going to all be asleep in about 30 minutes. All right? Did you guys all bring your computer? Well, I don't see them. You guys didn't bring your computers today? I got one. Did you bring a cell phone? Did you drive a car here? Did you come through an intersection that had a street light? Kind of like that movie, The Matrix? The Matrix has you already. It already has information on you. I joke about, and I tell my guys at the office all the time, I used to watch that show, well, I still watch that show, Alaskan State Troopers. I love to watch the scenery. I really don't care what the cops are doing. I just want to see the scenery. And they also have this other one called the Alaskan Railroad, where they talk about the guys who are driving the Alaskan Railroad. And in this one episode, this Alaskan train goes up through a valley. There's nothing in the valley but beautiful snow and mountains and beautiful trees, and it stops. I'm like, the train stopped in the middle of nowhere. Guys get off the train, walk about 5 cars back, open the door, dump a bunch of stuff on the side of the train, and this guy walks out of the trees in a ghillie suit. And he goes, hey, Bob, how's it going? And the guy's like, hey, Jimmy, looking good, you're doing all right. He goes, yeah, just see me when you come back. And I'm thinking, dude, that's going to be me. I'm going to be the guy that walks out of the trees. I'm going to try to fall off the grid. You realize that all he's got to do is look up, and somebody's looking back at him, right? There's some satellite looking down on him. How many of you kids are on TikTok at all? I mean, it's okay. I mean, you can say you're on TikTok. I asked for the kids, and she answered. That's actually a good thing, by the way. That's a good thing. There is a thing on TikTok called the Google Earth guy. Have you guys seen him yet? The Google Earth guy he just does these videos, and he drills down, and he finds some of the craziest stuff in Google Earth. So that means somebody's looking, right? So, I mean, he's finding it. Don't think for a moment that you're not being seen, right? Because he's out there. Just him. There's tons of them. All right. I know it's on. What's the distance on yours? There we go. All right, so netsmarts.org, you can see missingkids.org/netsmarts also. Netsmarts is put on by the National Center for Missing Exploited Children. It's a federally funded organization that does all kinds of stuff. When you see the things about kids and missing persons and the human trafficking and all these other things, a lot of that's Netsmarts. Right? They do a ton of this stuff. They do some fantastic things online. They have everything in range from kindergarten to 2nd grade, all the way up to parents and organizations. And they're broken down by groups. So kindergarten to 2, how long do you think those presentations would normally last? Maybe 10, 15 minutes, if you're lucky, right? I mean, the presentation lasts that long, but how long do you have the kids' attention?
5 minutes.
About 3 minutes. To give you a funny one of my guys I had that worked for me at C4 in the cybercrime unit there, his first day he had to go do one of these presentations. we went out to one of the Klein Forest schools, and it was for all the kindergartners. I'm good with it. We ended up having to do the kindergarten thing. He did like 800 kindergartners throughout the entire day, and I thought I was going to have to get him psychological help. Poor guy was a basket case. I'm like, look, I'll never do that to you again. Sorry. Oh, by the way, the 9th graders are next week. He's like, what? I said, yeah, surprise. They have a lot of really cool things. So what are your kids doing online? Have you thought about it? I mean, I see some grandparents in here. So, I mean, if you think about it, grandparents may be first line of defense, right? Not just parents. What are the kids doing online today? I mean, computers, right? I mean, don't most of your kids already have computers for school? Do they issue you guys computers now in school? Be it a Chromebook or maybe an actual laptop. I know one district is giving out tablets, so you have internet connectivity, right? Cell phones? Who here is the youngest that has a cell phone? How old are you? And you have?
It's a toy.
It's a toy.
I have the access on it.
Uh-oh, now you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Now you're in trouble.
You don't
All right,
have
we're
cell
keeping tabs here.
Yeah. You know, so I go, before church on Sundays, I will usually get up early in the morning and I go to HEB to do my shopping. And the only people I have to run into basically are the customer shoppers, right, that are getting for the curb pullers. So I don't have to worry about running into too many people. And if I can't find something, I can just ask anybody. They all know where it is. But it's really strange when you go a little later and the parents start to show up and there's the 4-year-old in the shopping cart and she's zipping through the iPad faster than mom can do it. You know, the mom's like, oh, how did you do that? Oh, no problem, mommy. Let me show you. And she or he races through it. Who's at the disadvantage at this point? Parent, yeah. The kid can race all around it. So you have cell phones, gaming consoles. Yes, I have an Xbox. I have lots of games on my Xbox. Like over about 130 on my Xbox. I love them. Anybody else play? Any older people play at all? Outstanding. I actually play with my son. He's 25? He's 25. I play with him online. Actually, I play with my daughter too. She's 28. I play with her. She lives in McKinney. But that's a way that I can talk to him. Right? I can interact with him. But as us older guys can attest, I hate playing with those who are under the age of 15 because they will whack you in a heartbeat. And then they'll laugh as they run off. Like, really? I'm getting beat by a 7-year-old. How great is that? So we have this thing. I'll have to hook you up. It's the Geezer Gamers.
Yeah.
We have a group called the Geezer Gamers. You have to be over 40 to join. And if you're under 40, you are not allowed to play with us. Because otherwise, you're going to rule. Just face it. Kids get us, right? E-readers become an issue. There are some e-readers out there that do have internet connectivity. You guys remember the DSi, or the DS, Nintendo DS? Do you remember the DSi? What did the I bring to the table? Internet, yeah. Now all of a sudden that DSi has internet connectivity and they can chat with people. Right? So one of the things we used to talk about is that as I grew up, it was go outside and play. Right? We'd go outside. Oh, come home when the street lights come on. Right? We usually made it by then. And I was one of those kids who had a motorcycle. As a kid, I had a motorcycle. And all my friends had bikes. We'd all go ride in the desert, because I lived in California at the time. That was how we played. As we got older, it was, hey, go watch a movie. Then it was go watch a VHS tape, go watch a DVD. And then the internet came along. So prior to the internet, if they didn't go outside and they did movies or DVDs or VHS, which direction was the media facing? Inside the house, right? It came into the house, right? The movies came in, all that stuff came into the house. Once it became the internet, which way did that information now flow?
Both ways.
Yeah, both ways, but the big thing was it now could get outside the house. So now all of a sudden, if you put your kid and said, hey man, go play on the internet, and you don't watch them, well, just put them in their underwear and put them on the street corner. That's kind of what just happened. because you're not paying attention. Right? And unfortunately, the internet can be a double-edged sword. It can cut for you, or it can cut against you. And the problem is, we obviously, on a regular basis, 'cause I can speak from experience from what I do for a living, a lot of parents don't pay attention to what's going on the internet. Or they do the, here, go play, we'll see you later. And they don't pay attention to what's happening with their child. So technology can't catch everything. You have to talk with your kids. Right? We can put stuff on the internet, we can put stuff on your devices, we can put stuff on your tablets, on your computers, to try to protect your children. One of the things that I always like to tell parents is we do this on a regular basis. We tell them, okay, you're in trouble, you're grounded. No internet for you. But we don't set that rule when they leave the house. So now all of a sudden, we sent them over to their friend's place. They can't get to the internet, but can't they get to the internet at the friend's house?
Yep.
You know, you need to be very specific. No internet means no internet. My son, when he was younger, he was a latchkey kid. He'd get home before either my wife or I did. And he'd come home, get off the bus, go inside, and the first thing he wanted to do was play Xbox. And the rule was no Xbox till the homework's done. We get home, then you can play. So one afternoon I come home, he's on the Xbox, we ground him, no internet. Yes, sir. So about 3 weeks later I come home early. I got off a little early, come to the house, the front door is situated in such a manner I walk up to the front door, I can see into the front game room where we put the computers and stuff I have for them. What do you think I see on the TV set? Xbox, and he's going to town. I was mad, so I went to go to put the key in the door, which now I don't even carry keys. Put the key in the door, dropped it. He heard it, so by the time I reached over, picked the key up, and put the key in the door and turned it, I opened the door, what do I not see? No Xbox, no kid. I mean, he's gone. I mean, fast. I'm like, how do you do it that fast? I mean, I can't even turn it off that fast. But I walk up, put my hand on the Xbox, it is blazing hot. Like, yep, violated the rules. So I unplug it, I'm mad, I walk into the back, we have a back living room. The big TV sets in for everybody, the family get in. And it's got a vaulted ceiling like this, nowhere near this high, thank goodness. But it's on my 8-foot ladder, I can stand up and I can just touch the ceiling. It's like 14 feet, one of those big ones. And it's got the big ceiling fan with the big pole and it's hanging down. I threw the Xbox up over the ceiling fan. Missed the ceiling fan, I'm like, phew, that'd have been expensive. Down comes the Xbox, boom, all over the floor. His eyes are this big. I said, we had a rule. Yeah, no more. I said, when you serve out your sentence, that's the term I used. I'm a cop. I don't know the other word. You're grounding. It's a sentence. I said, we'll worry about it. Now, mind you, I have my own Xbox. That's not mine. That's his, right? So I told him, pick all the parts up. He picked them all up, and about 3 weeks later, after he served his sentence and successfully managed it, we put that dumb Xbox back together, and he used it again for another 4 years. So I will buy another Xbox. It was pretty good. But the thing behind it is I can't always catch that, even with technology, right? There are systems you can put on your house. I mean, I had one on our network where if they had to go some places, they couldn't go there. But as soon as he got outside of that bubble, all that stuff becomes available again, right? One of the things we had to deal with was schools. You have a school here, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have your own IT group that covers the school?
Not really.
Not really?
I don't know.
So, Humble
so.
ISD has a fairly robust IT division, or they thought they were fairly robust. They called us because they were having a problem with pornography in the schools. And they were like, but how are they getting there? We blacklist all those pornography sites. Well, one kid figured out how to use a proxy server to reach outside the school's system, and he just put it on a Word document and just sent it out to all the students. Took him 30 seconds. So 6 months of work for the school was boiled down to 30 seconds of oops. And then it became another 6 months of trying to clean it up. So technology cannot fix everything. You guys are the first line of defense. You have to talk to the kids. You have to explain what goes on. You have to explain that online actions have offline consequences. What you do online does directly relate to what happens to you in the real world. You could meet the wrong person. You could send the wrong thing. You could now say the wrong thing, post the wrong picture. Right? What you do online has offline consequences. So we can't catch everything technologically speaking. It has to be you. Right? You have to make those initial contacts. What are you doing? Who are you talking to? Where are you going? You know, some of the rules we set for our kids to go outside, who, what, where, when, and when are you coming back, has to be set for the internet as well. Where are you going on the internet? Who are you communicating with? Who are you hanging out with? What are you doing on the internet? What games are you playing? Time limit. You have to come back from that. Right? I mean, we used to tell our friends, you know, hey, I'm going to talk to you later. And I would pick up the phone and I'd call him. Yeah, I'm one of those parents who actually would text my kids in the house. They're in the back of the house, so instead of me yelling, because I can yell, they don't answer me. But if I text them, I get an answer. You know, they'll answer the text. So it becomes a whole game of how do you communicate with your kids, what benefits the best. Right? Any questions so far? Yeah.
I have a question. Is there any way a parent can monitor their computers or any of their devices?
Yeah, there is technology to do that. I mean, there's Net Nanny, Cybersitter. There's a couple of other ones that are out there that you can monitor the stuff. The problem is that most of the kids actually will figure it out before the parent realizes how to make it work right, and they put their own back door in. So I mean, it becomes a thing of you having to talk to the kids about what they're doing. But there are systems you can do that to. Your cell phones, most all your phone companies already have parental controls. You just have to go online and activate them. I'm going to tell you right up front, most of your ISPs and your phone companies don't really do a good job on telling you what is available. Right? It's already on there. In fact, I set one for my son on his cell phone so tight he couldn't go to Google. It didn't really bother me any, but he couldn't go get stuff for school. And there's that balancing act, right? At what point does it become too intrusive and too restrictive? I mean, if they can't do schoolwork, that might be a little too much. Right? So we need to work on those. So some of our security and safety issues, inappropriate content. What would be inappropriate content, do you think?
Nude pictures.
Okay, pornography, I'll give you that one. What else?
Hatred, anger, killing, want to kill somebody, that kind of thing.
Yeah, anger.
Bullying.
Hate communication.
Bullying.
Bullying, yes. There's a bunch of stuff. But inappropriate content can also be gambling. I worked a case about 10 years ago where a guy calls up, his credit card got hit for like $30,000. He was very upset, and it happened at poker.com. He was sure somebody had hacked his account and was spending his money. Guess who it was? Yeah, his 13-year-old son. Thought it was kind of funny to, use it. Hey, it was just credit card. It's no big deal, right? Do you think the poker.com had to refund the money?
No.
No, not at all.
How did the 13-year-old get access to that?
Dad just left the credit card sitting on the.
Oh, that way.
He got the 16 numbers, the expiration date, the 3-digit the security pin, and he knew his zip code. So once you've got that, you're done. $30,000 later, Dad's out, $30 grand. So online privacy is an issue we have to deal with our kids. Information that you can post, information you shouldn't post. What kind of things should you not post?
Address, name,
Identifying information, which could be what?
social security number.
Oh yeah, social security numbers is a big one, that's true. Think a little more, so I tell my guys this all the time when they get mad at me. I say, think outside the box. And I said, just imagine, kind of like in that show, The Matrix, just remember, there is no box.
Picture of your house.
There you go, picture of your house. Picture of your uniform with the jersey number of the baseball team you're playing for, right? oh, hey, I'm in the 8th grade, I play at this high school, I'm the pitcher, you know, I'm on the, or not even the pitcher, I'm number 25. Now the bad guy knows where to go look for you.
Yeah.
Doesn't take much to do that. One of my investigators actually did that to his son because he was talking to somebody who he thought he was a friend with, and it was actually one of my guys. And he showed up at his baseball game. Said, you told me where you're playing. You told me what number you are. You told me what color uniform you have. Here I am. That wasn't hard. Stuff like that is the things that we need to be very careful about. Right? It can become a double-edged sword for the kids. I mean, I want to support my team, but maybe we need to be a little more obtuse about what we're talking about, right? Maybe not quite so specific, right? Sexting is a problem. Just so you know, sexting is illegal, right? You can't send, so I have to teach this to my guys on a regular basis within law enforcement. Sexting is a buzzword. The term sexting doesn't actually exist in the penal code. Unfortunately, the term for sexting in the penal code is like 9 letters, and it's providing unlawful access to underage subscription material. That's some goofy term they write up. Somebody came up with the law. I think the guy that came up with the name of the law is the same guy that names medication. That's gonna be my next job, is naming medication. I'm gonna get my Scrabble tiles out, throw them on the ground, and go, you can't pronounce that one? That's a good medication name. But sexting is between 2 underage minors. If one sends a nude image to another one, and they're both underage, that is technically sexting within the penal code. If they send a nude image to an adult, that's no longer sexting. That's possession and or distribution of child pornography. That is now starts as a 3rd-degree felony. Now, if an adult sends an image to a child, that's harmful display of material to a minor, that's a state jail felony. Goes up from there. Right? If the child sends an image to the adult and the adult keeps it, I'm gonna come find him and put him in jail. Pretty easy. That's part of the fun of my job. Find those idiots. I like the chase. The problem is when you have these 2 minors that are sending those images back and forth, that's a Class C offense. That's like a traffic ticket. The problem we run into, however, is it can be elevated. It can be what we call aggregated to move it up to a higher degree of offense, but you have to know it already occurred the first time. And unfortunately, most minors who don't have driver's licenses, where do you keep that information? We don't know. So that never really took off very well, but that law is still there. Now, if somebody, an underage minor, sends a picture to an underage minor, and this minor goes, oh, I don't want this, and deletes it, that's like no touch, no foul on that person. We don't write them a ticket. The deletion, though, has to happen in a reasonable time frame. That's how the law is written. Who determines reason? Starts with a J, ends in an E.
Judge.
Yeah, the judge. Judge determines what is a reasonable time frame. Yeah, go ahead.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is sexting on the internet? On a scale of 1 to 10.
About a 13 or 14.
Oh, it's not that high
Oh
on
no, it's way up there.
all the way up to
Yeah. So the United States is the highest producer of child pornography in the world, and unfortunately the people who create the most child pornography are our own teens. Because they just make it for each other, and then somebody else gets it, and it hits the net. Everybody thinks it's like the Philippines or Vietnam or something where it's, Serbia, Croatia. No, I mean, they make quite a bit, but the United States makes the most, unfortunately. And a lot of it has to do with access to technology. Because most of those other countries, kids don't have access to that technology like our kids do. I mean, we're rich. I don't know how many kids don't have a cell phone, right? Or access to some kind of tech, like PlayStation. So I'll tell you one problem with a PlayStation versus an Xbox. Well, it's a problem with Xbox too, so it's not really picking on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
But on the PlayStation, they actually did something that was really cool. On the Xbox, you have to have the Xbox Connect to have the camera. So you had to buy their part. It's like $200. PlayStation, I can go down to the store at Best Buy and buy the $25 web camera, and it will work on your PlayStation. Out of the box. Works perfect. That's a problem for us.
Now, sexting now is now that's between two minors,
Mhm.
like two minors. Now, now if they're sexting nude pictures to each other,
Mhm.
is that, does it go up family and
No,
minors?
that is sexting. Nude pictures. So, just regular pictures is just pictures. Anything sexually content oriented is sexting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. Know about the both sides that they actually in sex things?
Well, it depends on where you fall in with what we call the Romeo and Juliet law. That's another issue we'll talk about momentarily. I'm going to get there.
Okay.
All right. So you do have online enticement. That is where an adult is talking to a minor. How many of you have seen that show To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen?
Yeah.
You know, we actually do that. My guys do that. I've got one guy, well actually he just promoted, but he's about 6'4", 300 pounds. You would think he's a biker when you came in contact with him. He plays a mean 13-year-old girl. He does not look good in a skirt. I'm just saying. But he actually does a lot of this for us. Unfortunately, that happens a lot more than you can imagine. Unfortunately, in the world of cybercrime, I teach a course for the state of Texas called the Basic Certification for Cybercrime Investigators. We take individuals who are not cybercrime guys, and we teach them how to investigate cybercrimes. And in the very first part of the class, in the first day, in the first hour, we watch 2 videos. They're not child pornography. But they do tell you what child pornography does to the investigator when they have to review it. And I tell them up front, I said, you're gonna watch these 2 videos, it's gonna be depressing, but I want you to understand that those individuals who investigate cybercrime, this is gonna be like a traffic officer. So if you're working traffic, making traffic stops, stopping all these cars out here, you are going to run into dope. I mean, it's gonna happen, right? There is so much dope out there, you cannot work traffic and not find a guy with a joint or harder, right? Well, if you're going to be investigating cybercrime, you can't work cybercrime and not run into the world of online enticement or production and or distribution of child pornography. You can't. It's that prevalent. To give you an idea, one of the things that we do is we investigate peer-to-peer networks. How many of you guys remember I can see it in my head. It's the little logo. Napster. I am the real Napster. Remember when Napster was there and you could download music from Napster and listen to music and it was all over the place? Napster was actually a peer-to-peer network. That was an old peer-to-peer network. Now there's a whole bunch of new ones. I mean, you've got BitTorrent, uTorrent, you've got Nutella 1 and 2, eDonkey, all these different file sharing networks that people are on sharing images. If you were to take the state of Texas and you took a 30-day window and you said how many people were sharing images of child sexual exploitation in that 30-day window, now mind you, if I see the IP address once today, I count them once. If I see the IP address 100 times this month, I still only count them once, right? I don't count them over and over again. How many people do you think are in the state of Texas that are sharing child porn in a 30-day window? High 5 digits? Around 50 to 60,000 individuals sharing it in a given 30-day window. Harris County is roughly 13,000. And those individuals who investigate those kind of cases, there's about 10 of them. So they are severely outnumbered. But that is part of that online enticement. They will use those images to talk to kids, what we call grooming. Right? Try to get that shock factor down while all of a sudden you can get them out of their house. Cyberbullying is a big deal. Cyberbullying is a unique concept. Kid to kid, internet, cyberbullying. Kid to kid outside the internet, drop the word cyber. It's bullying, right? Kid and adult, it's no longer cyberbullying, it's now online harassment, online enticement or online sexual solicitation. They just went from being kind of a Class C to a state jail felony, just like that. Problem with cyberbullying. In the real world of bullying, what happens when you leave the playground and you both go each different directions? It's over, right? Problem with cyberbullying is it follows you everywhere you go, so they can never get away from it. And you have to be very conscious of what's going on. Yeah, cyberbullying is rough, and we'll talk about it. There used to be a presentation in here. I'm glad they took it out because I would skip it almost every time. And it was Amanda Todd. How many of you know who Amanda Todd is?
Was she the teacher?
She was a kid. She was a 16-year-old female that was being cyberbullied, and she ended up changing schools twice. She told her whole story through online Post-it notes, and she would sit there and music was playing, and she would do the whole story about how she was harassed and abused, cyberbullied online, how the kids were just really bad to her. It was horrible what they did to her. 2 weeks after she made the video, she killed herself. I can't watch that video. It gets you. But these are what we want to talk about to our kids, right? These are how we want to address it. We talk about the risks at every age. So younger kids, start the natique. Do you guys capitalize everything you do online? What is that? I mean, you're shaking your head. What is it? If you do that, what happens? You're shouting, right? You're screaming at somebody. Cracks me up. I always see some of my older friends will text or email me or text me, and it's all in capital letters. I'm like, stop shouting at me. What'd I do? Start teaching our kids about some of the net etiquette that we need to talk about. And then looking at inappropriate content, it is so easy to get to inappropriate content, even for the young ones. One slip of a letter and a web address, and they're in the wrong place, right? One of my friends, he went to whitehouse.com.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Right? The whitehouse.com is not the White House. Or it's not the White House that we think about. That's whitehouse.gov. Whitehouse.com is a sexually oriented website. And unfortunately, there was a school teacher who was doing presentation. Oh yeah, go to whitehouse.com, you can check it out. All these kids like, oh really? No, don't do that. We want to talk about the younger kids, the pop-ups and passwords, how we need to block those. We want to talk about not trusting everybody they see or everybody they meet online. There used to be I've got the video. I'll have to show it if I can. After one of the breaks, we'll talk about this video. It's an older guy online talking back and forth with this younger girl, and she sees in her head this really cute guy. It's not him. My daughter had a hard time understanding this. So I went by one day and I picked up her phone, and I said, do you really know who you're talking to? Oh yeah, Dad, I'm talking to Kelsey. Okay, you're talking to Kelsey. Who does Kelsey think she's talking to? Well, me. Really? And I start texting. So she's talking to you, or is she talking to me? She goes, that's not funny. I said, but it's so easy. It is so accurate. I can do it in a heartbeat. And this was somebody that she knows. What about somebody that all you ever meet online, and they show you that their avatar's there, and it looks like a really cool person? That's not who you're talking to. Think about this for a moment. Do you think the guys that show up to meet the kids that we're portraying think they're meeting a kid, or do they think they're meeting us? They think they're meeting a kid. They're meeting us. So that's not who they're meeting. Don't ever believe what you see online. My whole comment to my guys is, I only believe about 20% of what I see and nothing of what I hear. Right? Not until I can validate, verify, and check. But we have to do that for our kids too. Teach them that they're not, who they see online is not always who they're talking to. It's very easy to change that. Not only that, but if they're talking to somebody in a chat room or on Skype, on going through, somebody's at your front door. I'm just saying, that's what mine sounds like. I'm getting a package.
Yeah.
That's what it is. if you think about it for a moment, one of the things that happens a lot of times with our kids is I'll be on an app chatting, and it may be a chat room. I mean, you can chat multiple ways. But if I'm talking to your kid and I'm just harassing the snot out of them, and then I change my nick or my handle or my screen name or whatever you want to call it today to somebody else, and I come back into the same conversation, but now I'm telling the other guy, hey man, you're an idiot, stop treating the kid that way, he's just trying to learn how to do this. Who do you think that child's going to talk to?
You.
But wasn't I the first guy too? Right? We call that double chat. They use both sides of the coin to compromise your child. Happens all the time.
Is there any way you can track that?
Only if you're us. I mean, you can track the bad guy. Now, if you find out, you can technically stalk the bad guy across the internet. Don't know if it'd be a really great idea, but you can do it. Sometimes it's like that proverbial adage about the dog that caught the bumper. So you caught the bumper, what do you do with it now? Right? So teens and tweens, we want to talk about cyberbullying and make sure they're not doing that. Make sure that number one, they're not being cyberbullied, and number two, that they're not what? That they're not the bully. Right? We don't want them sexting. We don't want them posting personal information. Please don't give out your passwords. So your boyfriend or your girlfriend today, who you're tight with, who that's going to be the love of your life for the rest of your life, and you're 13, so you gave him or her all your passwords, tomorrow all of a sudden is no longer the love of your life, and now they have all your passwords. What kind of damage can they do? It happens a lot.
What about websites?
Which part?
Those websites that promote all that stuff we were just talking about.
Oh, you can try to block them at your house. There's ways to actually block websites, but it takes you being involved, learning where they're going. Now, once you figure that out, then you can start working the technological side. Do you track? Does it make sense?
It makes sense. It sounds like a pretty difficult thing to do.
It can be problematic, yes. Sometimes you'll use the technology to block a lot, and it blocks everything. And all of a sudden, it doesn't help you much anymore. And then the one we don't want to ever see when you're chatting is LMO. That's not short for laughing my off. I didn't lose the A. LMO is let's meet offline. Right? If you see that, you need to be a lot more involved with who your kids are talking to. Right? Where are they going? Who are they talking to? Who knows who that other person is? Right? You need to ask, who are you talking to? Right? So part of the program within the NetSmarts, like I said, they do the K through 2, 3 through 6, 9 to, well, they call them teens and tweens, and then parents. This is for one of the younger groups. They did a great job on some of the programming. Let's see if it works. You may have to click the screen.
Had as much fun this summer as we did. Nettie and Webster are already back in school.
Try it again. Yeah, I know. PowerPoint can sometimes be exciting. Technology, don't you love it? When it works, I love it.
Hey Gary, we're going to take a break soon.
Yes, we are.
We're recording.
We're getting ready to.
Okay. Just recording purposes, that's all.
You need to change the SD card. There we go.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you had as much fun this summer as we did. Nettie and Webster are already back in school, and they're super excited to start learning new things. They're also excited about making new friends. In fact, connecting with new friends is the topic of this month's brand new video. Keep watching to find out how Webster used his NetSmarts when connecting with new classmates online. Club.
I think it was going to do it, so that's okay. But you get the gist of it. They went through and they did some great stuff at that NetSmarts website that is age appropriate. For all those different ages, there are programs, informational material, games that helps you get into the rhythm of learning how to take care of yourself and how to help you discuss with your kids. So some of the things we want to talk about, how to respond to a kid who has an issue. I I tell you right up front, the first one is extraordinarily important. If your child comes to you and says, oh look, I've been talking to this person and he sent me a picture and it's sexually explicit, and you blow up, they're not coming back the second time. Right? If it happened the first time and you explode, what were you thinking? Why'd you do that? How did you, what were you thinking when you did that? Why were you talking to that person? And you just get on to them about it. They're not going to come back to you a second time. So when it happens the next time, you're not going to know. Now, what I want you to really remember, sure, maybe they were talking to this guy. Yes, this guy may have sent them an image. But you know what? Who's the one responsible for not doing that? The kid or the adult? You guys are like, I'm afraid to answer because I don't know. The adult has to be the adult. Right? One of the things we talk about with our guys, and I actually had one of our individuals, our investigators, who we had to send back to school because he made the comment one day to me. He says, oh, she was talking to him, she was egging him on. Whoa, hold on a minute, Buckwheat. You can't do that. You have to remember that that guy, be it 22, 23, 24, and she's 13 or 14, he has to be the adult. He has to step off. He cannot progress. That's not her fault. She's a victim. He's a predator. And the hard part is trying to get some of those guys to understand that. And it's just like, no, that's not a hard one to understand. That's pretty straightforward. Remember to listen attentively and stay calm. It's not their fault. Make sure you ask questions. All right? Where were they? Who were they talking to? When were they talking? What were they talking about? Were they on a game? Did they meet in the chat room? Get all the information you can. Then it says help them report it. Yes, report it. You can report it. You can report it to us. You can report it to the sheriff's office. You can report it straight to NCMEC. It will get its way to us. Yes, ma'am. Well, if you see it on a website, right, you can block it, report it.
It's just like a click, right? It says,
Well, yeah, but you're reporting it to them. So they really don't have an incentive to report it to us. Right? If it's...
so it blocks the person that's from
Correct.
that side. So the correct
Correct.
would be block it, report it, so they know maybe not to do it to you, but then also report it to the agency.
Yes. If it's something bad like that, and here's one of the things that we have a problem with today, is that you can block it, and if you didn't save anything as an evidentiary item, like you didn't take a screenshot or something, depending on how that report works, we may never see it again. So we may not have anything to go from. So it's uncomfortable. I don't recommend, don't save child porn. That's a bad thing, right? We don't ever want to do that. But if somebody has sent it to you, notify law enforcement immediately. Right? I don't mean like 2 weeks down the road or a month down the road. Like, hang up, dial 911, call us. That way we can get to it, we can get started working on it, we can take care of it. Right? It does become problematic. We get these all the time where somebody will see something and they'll just delete all of it. I get it. That's the first inclination, is to want to make it go away. The problem in today's technology side of it is, if you actually make it go away, it may actually be gone and we're never getting it back. Right? So and if you ever have a question, call us. Right? Just pick up the phone, dial 911, call the sheriff's office. I need to talk to a cybercrime investigator. I have a problem right now. And if we're on duty, they'll call us then. If we're not on duty, they'll notify Watch Command, who will then call us. And one of my guys will get the phone call at the house and take care of it. We're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. My wife back there shaking her head. Yeah. I was answering emails yesterday from Chocolate Bayou on a boat fishing. I mean, never go to sleep. Yes, sir.
I have a question. You talk about everything. The most important part I want, and one of the biggest things I
actually. It's not easy. But a lot of it has to do with the breakdown of family morals, right? We've given kids technology that we never had as a kid. So we have to start walking that path a little more diligently, watching what they're doing, and explain to them that that's not okay. Because what happens is those images, they get out. So how do you explain, this is what I told a kid last year, I said, how do you explain your nude image that you sent out 10 years from now when you become a parent and your 4-year-old finds your nude picture on the internet? How do you explain that to your 4-year-old? How's that going to work out?
Dad looked good a long time ago.
Yeah, okay. My thing is, if you can't show your grandmother, it doesn't need to be posted. Right? If you can't send that to your grandmother, you don't need to be sending it, because it's going to come back to bite you. I mean, how many sports figures have you seen that sent out an image and now all of a sudden they don't have a scholarship because the school that they were going to go play for rescinded their scholarship because that's not the kind of image they want to have? Or you're going to go get a job. Let's put it this way. You want to come be a sheriff's deputy? You know where I'm going with this. You want to come become a sheriff's deputy in Harris County? And we run you through the system and we're going to check your social media. I guarantee it. And if we find stuff like that in your social media, we may not even tell you why we just blackballed you. You're just not going to be working for the sheriff's office. And when some other agency comes to check your background because they know you came to us, because there is a database that tells them that they applied to the sheriff's office, well, we're going to tell them why we didn't hire you. And that will follow you around. And it's not just the sheriff's office. I mean, there are other companies who will not hire you if you do stupid stuff on the net because it exposes them to liability. Yes.
Do universities have the same, can do the same thing as you can do background checks like that?
Yes. Oh, yeah. We use the really super secret law enforcement database known as Google. So, yeah. She works at the sheriff's office. She's one of our crime analysts, so she knows all of our super secret databases. Google, Facebook, MySpace. Yes, there's still stuff on MySpace, just not a lot. You'd be surprised how many people are still putting stuff up there. So what you should do, turn off the screen, use the back button, tell a trusted adult. Tell your kids they can tell somebody. It's okay to talk to us about it, right? Report to the website or app, and then that one right there, if you can write that down, or if you want to go back later and get that off the internet, cybertipline.org, you can fill that out. You can even fill it out totally anonymously. It will route its way to the appropriate law enforcement agency of jurisdiction in your area and will land with them. If it's within the unincorporated parts of Harris County and it's not within somebody else's jurisdiction, it's us. We get it. If it's an HPD land, it'll be with HPD's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, which we're a member of. Don't post inappropriate or illegal behavior. I can't tell you how many times we've gone to somebody's Facebook page and they're either flashing a gun, they're flashing dope, or they're flashing money. I mean, hello? Why don't you just advertise you're an idiot? And that's kind of what you're doing. They need a sign. Well, they have a sign. It's right there on the internet. I'm stupid. But people will post that stuff all the time. They will post their illegal behavior online. It's amazing. And then they want to wonder, how did I get caught? Well, because you sent us the post. Right? Offensive language. Schools are looking into that quite a lot. Threats of violence. That one's getting to be a hot button, isn't it? Underage drinking or drug use. Think about it. So you're an underage individual. You go to a party after a football game. There's somebody else taking snapshots, and you've got your Dos Equis. So what happens when the school sees that? Are you still there, or are you not? Did you just lose a good spot on the swim team because all of a sudden you're sitting there doing the illegal behavior? That actually happens a lot. And then the hate speech runs right along with cyberbullying. Unfortunately, we see a bunch of this. So what's one of the things that the internet does for us that everybody thinks is so available, that makes that so easy to do? It's applied anonymity, right? People think they can do things on the internet, and we're not going to know who you are. There are some ways to do it that you could really hide yourself, but the bad part of it is if you continue to do it, I am going to catch you, because you're going to leave footprints. You're going to leave fingerprints. Heck, sometimes you leave your address.
But if you're a minor, it's hard to get a conviction on a minor though, isn't it?
Well, it's not always about the conviction. I mean, think about it. Their school district can do things too. So you get in trouble with the law, right? Maybe we don't convict you, but now all of a sudden your coveted spot on the football team isn't yours because they just took it away from you. That happens a lot. We actually get more stuff out of some of the school districts than we do out of the criminal justice system. Just the way that it is. So what you can do, you can connect. You can learn how to do things on the internet. You can go read the white pages. There are okay, guys, I'm talking specifically to you. Read the instructions. Right? Really, they actually have information in there that sometimes makes sense, even for us guys. So sometimes we have to, I'm guilty of it like everybody else. When I want to fix my car, do you know what I consult first?
YouTube.
No, YouTube. How do I do that? And YouTube will show me exactly how to do that. Just follow the instructions.
It shows you one way.
One way.
May not be the right way.
Well, that's why you got to watch more than one.
There you go. That's right.
You got to watch more than one. So learn. Learn what's going on. Learn what your kids are doing. Learn where your kids are going. Learn who they're going with. Learn what your kids are doing. Man, that's all I can tell you. If anything you get out of this whole presentation is you are the first line of defense. That's it. It's you. You're the first line of defense. Plain and simple. And the second part is your online actions do have offline consequences. So you need to learn what those are. You need to engage with your kids and figure out what they're doing. Talk to them. I mean, how many of us don't talk anymore? We'll text. That was exciting. You guys awake now? So we'll text, right? We may send. How many of you send your kids emails? I do. Is that a problem? I'll send them emails. Right? So online privacy, we talked about this to an extent. Pictures of families and friends, is that okay? With their consent, it's okay. Right? As long as it's not giving up too much information, it's okay. But if you ever check me in on Facebook, we're going to have words. Do you guys even know what I'm talking about? So if we're friends on Facebook and we all go to dinner together, you can go to Facebook, you can check people in. You can check them in at the restaurant. Do not ever check me in if we're together somewhere. Because I don't want the bad guys to know that I'm not at home. That I'm not where they think I am. Don't check in anywhere. Otherwise, why don't you just go ahead and take the settings on your phone and put share my location, everybody, always. Hey guys, here I am. And let them know where you are all the time. And that's a bad thing. I don't like that at all. So personal information, don't put it up there. Make sure that in your conversations with unknown people in an online game, don't talk too much about that.
Gary, that's that app you're talking about. Is that 360 thing where you go somewhere and people know exactly where you are at all times?
So 360 is you are just your group, right?
That's
your people.
Okay.
You can actually do, if you pull up your iPhone and you go to a contact, any contact, you can go share my location, and one of those things is indefinitely. And I wouldn't recommend doing that. Right? That's a bad thing.
You check in a hotel, you know that person, you check in a hotel, is that, do they get it there in the hotel when you check in the hotel?
Now they'd have to know which hotel you were at. But I don't use the Wi-Fi at the hotel. I don't use any free Wi-Fi. I'm not going to use free Wi-Fi because if I can see you on that network, I can compromise your computer.
Even with the VPN connection?
The VPNs are a little more difficult, but if I can see your computer connected to the network, not where the data is starting and ending at, right, but the network connection, because I'm on the same network,
Got it.
yeah, I can compromise you. So, I spent a week at a hacking school, and about the third day in, I called my wife and said, I need you to unplug my computer. She's like, oh, from the network? I said, no, from the power. Just turn that off. Do not have it on. Because it was some stuff that I was like, oh, that's not cool. Some of the things they can do is a little spooky. Right? So checking in, don't do that. Sending, viewing, and sharing explicit or provocative pictures, don't do that. Remember, if you can't share it to your grandmother, you can't share it to anybody, all right? I don't know why people want to take nude pictures of themselves and hold on to them. I know what I look like when I stand in the mirror. I really don't care. I'm not sending that to anybody, all right?
Not just sex pictures, sexual going, that's what I'm
Mhm.
talking about. So not
Yes.
just sex pictures.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're correct. So, personal information, do not share your passwords. Do not share your home address. Please don't share your location. Not unless it's, if it's an emergency. I've taught both my kids, if it's an emergency, you've had a car accident, your car is broken down, I need you to know how to share where you are with me so I can get to you. Right? That's important. But not to all your friends. They don't need to know where you are. And then your home or cell phone. Does anybody here even have a home number?
Yeah.
Really?
It's for junk calls. That's the number I gave out last
Hooked up to my Kroger card.
Your Kroger card? So we swap Kroger cards at work
I
just to confuse Kroger. So, oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, phone numbers. My home phone is a Google Voice number. I don't have a landline.
No.
Wait, no.
It's
I
really
got
not
rid of it.
landline anymore, they're not landline.
I had one of those Comcast accounts where you had like the phone number with Comcast, and every now and then the TV said it would say phone number calling. I'm like, I don't even know what number they're calling, because I don't know what my phone number is, because I didn't need the phone. So some of the risks of sharing, you can have identity theft. Even kids can have identity theft. Somebody who's under the age of 18, if I can get their social security number, I can have a fantastic credit rating for about 6 weeks while I completely trash their history. Because I take out all kinds of loans in their name and I never pay them back. And all of a sudden they think it's them. Right? Now, when they turn 18, start trying to get all their credit cards and stuff oriented like they would normally do, their credit rating is already through the floor, and all the credit reporting companies are like, well, you don't pay your bills.
Gary, can you explain how you stop identity theft and give a little more background on that?
That's hard. So one of the best ways to stop identity theft is to actually get something like LifeLock.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of other ones out there that do that, and they monitor your credit information. Heck, we went to go buy a boat not too long ago. We had to go through and just do it on just me, because when we did her credit, we didn't realize she had a credit lock. She said it. No, well, she didn't say it. One of our people said it, and we weren't sure how to turn it off. Which, okay, that means nobody else is getting it either. So I got good with that. It was fantastic. So hacking is not as prevalent as you think it is. It's more complicated than most people realize. It can still, however, be done. The ones that we see the most are what we call compromises, where somebody will send you a link and they will tell you, hey, I'm with, the one I say all the time is Microsoft. Hey, I'm with Microsoft, your computer has a problem, we're gonna fix it for you. We'll do it for $19.99, but I need you to go to this website, click on it, so that we can fix your computer. They're not fixing your computer. Microsoft doesn't know you have a problem, right? They actually really don't care. If you need to get it fixed, you fix it, or you hire somebody. Nobody's going to call you to do that. What's happened is they have told you to go to a website, and they've basically now got a backdoor into your computer, and they're stealing all your information out of it. If it's a Mac, they're also going to be stealing the keychain, which has all your passwords in it. Please, don't do that. If you do have a computer problem, notify an actual computer company to fix it. Don't wait for Microsoft to call you, right? Because they're not going to. Amazon doesn't call you, right? PayPal will not send you an email until that you need to log in to PayPal and fix it. Oh, by the way, click this link to put in your PayPal information. That's not PayPal. The problem is most of our kids don't realize it, and off they go. And they're putting in all their information.
Well, those bad guys even use the same branding.
No,
That's the thing. It looks
looks just like it.
I get a bunch of nonsense from AT&T, and I know it's not true because I see the numbers that are left over, And there ain't no way and my wife, she works for Hewlett Packard, and they actually, every now and then they test them. They'll put some spam stuff out there and see who clicks on it. If you click on it, then you've got a 2-day workshop. Yeah. So,
Wow.
Yeah, we had the same problem. Unfortunately, for me to make a website that looks like PayPal, takes me about 2 minutes. I can make the website look just like PayPal, but it's not PayPal. And when you put your information in and hit submit, I have all your information. PayPal doesn't know any better. Right? That's part of the problem. Or, hey, did you know you have a DHL package coming to you? You need to click on this link to fill out your information because apparently the address is wrong? Yeah, DHL doesn't do that. Oh, by the way, did you know that you won the Canadian lottery? But to get your money, you have to pay the fees up front, right? So you need to send us a money order for $2,500 to pay the taxes for your winnings at the Canadian lottery.
I only send my money to Nigeria first.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
What
For the
about
prince?
voice changing? They're you know,
That's
my
becoming
son
more
gets
popular.
on the PlayStation. He's talking with people, and their
Mhm.
voices sound young. But I know in the PlayStation 3 that you can change your voice.
You can.
And I don't know about the PlayStation 4, but I'm sure that there are
You can.
programs out there that they could be speaking into and go into that, and they can sound just like a kid.
Yes, and you
Yeah.
can. We see that all the time. We actually have we call it a spoof card. It looks like a calling card. The problem is that I can dial into the spoof card. I can now dial the number I want it to look like that it's coming from, and I can send it, so when I call you, that number shows up, and I can change my voice, and I can record the conversation.
Can people do like video chats where I'm using one of these voice changers and the image looks like I'm talking and it's not really me?
So
Seen
We're
it
getting
in
that's
close.
beginning to happen.
We're getting close.
Yeah, that's beginning to come closer to being realistic.
Yep.
That'll
Some
be
of
the
it's
next
pretty
thing.
scary. Yeah. So when we did these chat operations, we used to have to send images to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children of other law enforcement officers that would allow us to use their images to look like kids. So we had to make the website and the profile to look like a child. So we would take the image of a grown adult and a nice picture, and we'd send that image to NCMEC. They'd regress it, and we'd use that image. There was only like 4 people on the planet that knew how to do that. People that actually worked for some of the big, Warner Brothers, United Video, ILM, some of the big names. Now, I can do it on my cell phone.
Yeah.
There's an app on the cell phone that you can age regress your own image right now and make yourself look like you're 5 or 10.
Also, they're working with voice stuff where they can take all of your words that you ever say.
Yep.
And they did this with Joe Rogan recently, and they used all of his words and made sentences and sounded like a bunch of monkeys were playing hockey.
Yeah.
And they can even change the inflections of those words to make it sound like you're asking a question or stating a statement. So what I'm trying to get to is what you hear someone saying on the other end could be through a bunch of filters coming at you, and you don't know.
And
You
it's all
don't
point
know.
click. It's the one that they used. We saw the demo of it. It takes his conversations, pulls it out, turns all those words into like
Binary,
a bubble that says the or whatever you want it to, and you just rearrange the words, and you can assign the inflection to the words, and then it reads it back. You can change the voice up and change the whole meaning of the conversation up.
Yep.
And it's scary because it's point and click. A 5-year-old can do it. Just drag and drop the words in the order they want it in. It was
That, and
it's
they
not
can do
cool.
these green rooms where you can be inside, you can be on the other side of the world, and you can be in this green room, and it looks like a holographic image in the room where you're trying to be in. So you don't have to be at me. It's like the stuff we saw in science fiction movies. It's
Well,
right here.
Look at Zoom. I use a green screen now for Zoom.
Yep.
Where when I'm in a Zoom meeting, I'm not in my office. I'm out at the lake or something. So you can't, because I have stuff in my office I don't need you seeing. So I'll use a virtual backdrop for Zoom. And it's free.
Yep.
Just drag and drop it. So.
And you make a comment about augmented reality and what new technology that's fixed to be presented?
Yeah, we can talk about that. It's deep. So the PlayStation 4, you have a 4? So he actually has one of the first ones that had augmented reality, but not in a headset, right? Anybody in here heard of Second Life? So Second Life was a website you could go to, You could actually spend real money in it. Kids would go into it all the time, and it's no holds barred. It is totally unregulated, unmoderated. Talk whatever you want to talk, do whatever you want to do, and it's a whole nother life. You can be inside the computer. It's like being inside the Matrix, but on your PC. Now they're carrying it to augmented reality, well, virtual reality for headsets. There is an augmented reality app called Layer, L-A-Y-E-R, just like it sounds. Was designed by a company in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, for real estate. You'd pull up your cell phone, you'd load the program called Layer, you would aim it at a house, and if the house was for sale, because the phone knew where you were looking, right, by GPS and directional, it would look at the house and go, oh, there's a house. Click it up, and it would give you all the information about the house for sale. Well, then another company created one called Tweets, Tweets Around. And what it would do was take all the Twitter feed from around you, and it would pull all the Twitter information in, create a radar, and I could hold the phone up, and I could look around me, and I could see where tweets were coming from. You could make it 5 miles, 10 miles, and you could see those tweets coming in. Well, if the phone was set up for geolocation, because that's the only way it knew that you were in my 10-mile bubble, I had a button, I could click on it, and it would give me the map on how to get to where the person just tweeted from. And it would direct me straight to the Twitter, or to the tweeter, how you want to look at it. Or the bird brain. I mean, it's up to you. You know what Twitter is, right? Anybody here not know what Twitter is? Do you guys really know what Twitter is? This is Twitter. But I'm going to go back here, and when I want to say something, I'm going to run in, I'm going to say 160 characters worth of words, and I'm going to run back out. That's Twitter. And that's kind of what it is. If you're following me, you can see what I say all the time, or you just don't worry about it. That's Twitter. I'm not a Twitter person. Sorry. Not me. So why are they sexting? Why do our kids sex? To be funny? To impress a crush? Peer pressure or threats? Send me the picture. I want to get to the video. Here it is. You may have to click this one. There you go.
You probably get lots of messages every day, but what if you got one like this? What would you do? Would you send a picture? No? Cool. That's an easy way to protect yourself. But what if you'd chosen differently? What if you send the picture? They'd never share it with anyone else, right? Do you want the picture shared with others? Sorry, you no longer have a choice. It's out of your hands now, because sometimes people we trust break that trust. Maybe the person you sent the picture to shows it to some friends. Maybe they send it to a couple friends, who send it to a couple more friends, you get the idea. It spreads, and you never know who might see it. Your little brother? Your mom? Other people at school?
He's the one who shared it. Ugh, I hope that never happens to me.
Even strangers can get a hold of your picture. You never really know where that picture will end up.
I can't believe he's sending this to people.
How long it will be out there? Or what the consequences will be. Don't let others decide what happens to your image. Think before you share. Learn more at netsmarts.org. And hey, if your image is already out there, know that it's not your fault. For information about removing sexual pictures and videos from the internet, visit missingkids.org/gethelpnow.
No, I mean, think about it. So who actually started that whole process?
The one actually sent it in the first place.
No.
No?
That's the second part. The one who asked. Right? Don't ever think about that. You got to remember, if you are an individual who's asking for something you shouldn't be asking for, you're the inception. You're the one that started it, not the person who sent the image. Why are you going to put that other person in that position? I mean, if you care about that person, that's really not a fair place to put them.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So don't do that, right? So the consequences of sexting: humiliation, bullying, right? Blackmail. We've actually seen blackmail cases where a young lady actually lost her scholarship to a school she was going to, and she was actually going to an equine school, school for horses.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was supposed to be some like up and coming super horse rider, and she didn't get to go. School took her scholarship away. School discipline can happen. We can get involved. Law enforcement can get involved with those.
But if that's the case, then she shouldn't get her, why should she lose her, if she was entrapment for it, she shouldn't lose her, she shouldn't.
I agree. Well, she sent the image out, so apparently she didn't have good common sense either, and so the school district got her for that one. It's all about what the school district wants to do. We turn things around quite regularly, unfortunately. Some of the, addressing some of this stuff, talk about the consequences, what can happen, right? Tell your kids, don't forward the images, right? Please, do not forward the images. I gotta tell you right up front, I gotta tell deputies not to forward images, right? We have situations, we have grown deputies who will send pictures thinking they're doing the right thing because they got it forwarded to them from someone else. So they'll forward it again to, quote, get it to the email. Now I've got it in an email. Stop. Just stop sending it, right? Let us come deal with it. And then discuss healthy relationships with your kids. What is a healthy relationship? What does it look like, right? Talk about ways an image can spread online. How fast can an image spread online? No, you got it. It's just a finger snap. We did a demo for a conference where I put an app on my phone and I logged into like 5 different file sharing or image sharing apps, took the picture one time. By the time I turned the phone around, it was already on all 5 of the image sharing apps, already out there. That's how fast it happens, right? And then, of course, report it. Please report these things. They're important. So how do solicitations occur? Social networking sites. Believe it or not, dating apps. Lots of dating apps. Older teens, we normally see those like 13, 14 and up. Unfortunately, I can see that beginning to drift down as more technology gets to being in the hands of younger people. Most of them are being solicited by peers, kids their same age, and most are really not bothered by it. We encounter a bunch of kids who've been solicited like, whatever, I just delete it. Okay, then why do you still go meet these people? Right? So some of the ways we groom kids, unfortunately, what we've been seeing, natural curiosity, gradually introducing those explicit images, bringing those images a little hardcore earlier, right? Adult status. One of the things that we are our own worst enemy. So we'll be in a big group like this, and I'll tell you right up front, I grew up in the church, and I'll tell you one of the worst things I ever thought about after I got to doing this job was what we did, and that was in a youth group. You're supposed to do what that other adult tells you to do. It might not be such a good idea. Maybe you need to think about it first. If you have a question, come ask me and we'll discuss it. Because we tell our kids that you have to follow their behavior. Sometimes that's not such a good thing. And unfortunately, adults were probably one of the worst ones about it. Offering gifts. Oh yeah, I've seen lots of gifts offered. The lady that offered her boyfriend the cordless phone at the house, she offered a lot of other gifts too that showed up. Stuff like she sent a pair of her underwear, she sent a necklace, she sent tickets to Aerofest. Do you remember what Aerofest was? Yes. Yes? Up in Woodlands? Yeah. It was a concert, like a 2-day concert. Right. Everybody went up to Aerofest and just had a good time. Yeah. She's sending tickets to Aerofest. Oh yeah, they'll send gifts.
How many kids in sexual massage parlors and things like that come out of this kind of stuff? Do you get a lot that come? We
do see some, yes.
Yeah.
So part of the problem we run into, and it's only beginning to mature now for us in law enforcement, is we'll see the girl or the guy as a prostitute versus a kid. And what needs to happen is we need to see them as a kid, as a victim, not as a prostitute, because they're being trafficked. And that's a hard change to make for a lot of law enforcement. It's beginning to happen, and it takes a lot of time. but we're beginning to see that more. Yeah.
Yeah, how is sex trafficking? Is it getting worse, getting better? It's about the same?
Well, currently with the current border crisis down south, it's getting a lot worse.
We see more sex trafficking among foreigners than Americans?
Right now we are. We're seeing a whole bunch of it. Coming up from the southern border, coming up, going further, and they're actually going further north. But Houston is the hub, and they come up to Houston, and then they start branching out to other locations. So we've seen a whole bunch of it. The problem is we don't have enough resources to fight it. So some of the things you'll see in grooming, your kids are calling unknown numbers. How many of you really remember phone numbers? You remember phone numbers? How many? 5 or 6. When it used to be, you could remember your whole phone book, right? And you knew them all. But nowadays, kids don't remember numbers. They remember the names, right? But if they're calling unknown numbers, you probably want to look, because they don't want you to know who they're talking to, right? So find out who they're talking to. They may start rejecting family and friends. We call this wedging. So what we'll see is a kid and friend, and all of a sudden those two start to drift apart, and I don't want to say not naturally. I mean, if nothing's really changed in school, in social circles or whatever, but all of a sudden they start getting away from everybody else, what's happened is somebody has put a wedge between him and his friends, and they're beginning to push them apart. Look, man, I'm your friend. I understand you. I don't know why your parents won't listen to you, but I'll listen to you. But, oh, you need a new phone? I'll hook you up. I'll take care of it. Man, your friends don't understand you at all. I can't believe they would do that to you. You see how fast that happens? It happens really easy. And some of these guys are freaking maestros at it. They're extremely good at it. I've gone through chat records on cases that were hundreds of pages long, and really the whole thing started, and he already had the child hooked in the first 5 lines. Right? I mean, just 5 conversation lines back and forth, already done. Scary stuff.
Gary, do you find most of the problems with this with kids who have no strong support group and just single family?
You know, I would like to say yes, but I can't really say it. I see a lot of that where there's not a strong family structural support. But the first PlayStation 3 case we ever worked was a child. She had mom and dad. Mom and dad were IT techs. One worked for a bank, one worked for a school. They had a 2-story house, game room upstairs. They had 3 PlayStation 3s. They played all together, all the time. Mom and dad played with her constantly. One afternoon, she goes upstairs, starts playing on the PlayStation 3, starts communicating with an individual online. This guy says, look, I taught you how to play this game. Friends do things for each other. She's 11. She goes, well, what do you mean? I want a picture. So she sends a picture, just headshot up. She has a little web camera on her PlayStation 3. She takes a photograph, sends it to the game. How many of you guys are PlayStation gamers? Nobody? Do you remember Thunderhawk? So Thunderhawk was a flying game, space flying game. It was a pretty good one, actually. So they start talking back and forth. She sends a picture. He goes, no, I need more. She goes, no, I can't do that. Mom and dad are downstairs cooking dinner. We interviewed them. They were downstairs, 30 feet away. So she says, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, I'm going to disown you. I'm not disown. I'm going to defriend you. No, don't defriend me. He defriends her. What do you think happens to her? Is she cool with that? No. So what do you think she does?
She calls him back.
She texted him back, and she sent a picture, waist up, naked. He says, no, I taught you how to play the game. I've kept you alive in the game. You know, I cover you in the game. We're on the same team. I need a whole picture. She's like, no. He goes, okay, well, fine. I'm totally out. So he defriends her again. What do you think she does?
Text him back.
Sends the whole picture. That whole interaction took less than 10 minutes. Mom and dad are downstairs cooking dinner. So we don't get involved yet because we don't know about it. The next day, dad gets online playing with another guy in the same group. They're in the same clan. Guy says, hey man, are you sitting down? Dad goes, what's going on? He says, I need you to sit down. And dad's like, dude, what's wrong with you, man? He says, trust me. So the dad says, okay, I'm sitting down. He wasn't actually sitting down. The guy says, I got this photograph from this other guy yesterday. He sent it to everybody in the clan but you. And it was his daughter, fully nude, in the picture. Dad freaked out. Rightfully so, Dad should freak out. He calls us. We show up, we get the data, we start working it. One of the problems with dealing with PlayStation is guess where all their data is? Yeah, but where's the server? Where's, well, not China, you're close. It's in Japan. Sony's in Japan. Dealing with them was exceedingly difficult. But once they figured out what we needed, they gave us everything. Yeah. Did you know when we ran the search warrant on that guy who was in Kentucky at the time, Kentucky, their state law enforcement went and ran the search warrant for us. He didn't have a computer in the house. The only thing he had in the house was that PlayStation 3. He was checking his email, surfing the web and everything from that PlayStation 3.
How do you do that?
It has a full web browser, has a full email function. He was saving pictures, I mean all of it. So we actually brought him back. He became a resident of Texas. Yeah, when he landed, he was talking to the warrant guys, because I mean, it was our warrant guys that went and got him. He says, wow, this is a big place. And the warrant guy says, welcome to Texas, enjoy your stay. Okay, thank you. So he's still here, by the way. That was 4 years ago. He's got another year and a half to do. So, remember, if they're minimized, you walk by and they go, they slam the screen down, something's not right, okay? Talk to them, right? Yeah, no, don't sit down in the back and go, not me. I'm picking on you, it's okay. Just be careful. And then this is the last video. I don't have to click on it, we just push a button. It's all right. All depends on how they dumped it in the video. You'll know when it starts. It'll have a black, and maybe just the next screen if it's a black screen. In fact, I think it is just a black screen. I'm going to hit the button. Didn't do anything. That's okay. This is actually a good video. We're almost done, guys. I promise. I teach a 40-hour class in cybercrime if you guys want to attend it, but it's going to get real deep. So you'll be like in the corner sucking your thumb, curled up in a ball. Yeah, do the academy. I just taught it about a month and a half ago. Technology is a wonderful thing. See, this is why we need to use a Mac. I'm just saying. Macs are good. You need to get him 2 iMacs back there is what it is. Yeah, I know. Hey, now's the time to do it. They got some new ones coming out. There we go. That's it. That should play on its own from there, I think. Here we go.
It happened to me 5 years ago. My parents were divorcing and things at school and with friends weren't too good. I felt like the world was falling down around me. That's when I met someone online. We would chat about everything in my life. I finally had someone to take my side and see things my way. I had someone to put me first. No matter how much I thought we could trust each other, I knew better than to meet in person with someone I had met on the internet. But one day, when school was dismissed early, there was someone waiting for me at my front door. I never thought I'd find myself in this situation. I learned the hard way that no matter who you think you're talking to online, there are people out there looking to hurt you. It doesn't matter if they're male or female, or if they look a little rough around the edges, or even if they're the most beautiful person. These people exist, online and in the real world.
It happened to me too. I was 14 and someone online sent me a private message. I shouldn't have responded, but I messaged back and 7 days later, agreed to be picked up outside of my house at midnight. I was taken to another house, and what happened there was terrifying. I'll remember it for the rest of my life. I felt numb and powerless and didn't know what to do. I was too afraid to tell my parents and ashamed of what everyone would think of me. But hiding it was a mistake. I saw the car that I was taken in driving around my neighborhood all summer long. Was I being targeted again, or was someone else being victimized? I finally decided to tell someone.
I have to live with the decision I made to trust someone I met on the internet.
But the important thing is that I told someone. I'm not a victim, but a survivor.
That's the place to go. Cyberbullying.com. So what you can do, tell your child about, talk about what a good relationship looks like, set your policies, right? Look, we know they're gonna wanna meet offline, right? It's gonna happen. Best way to do it is under your guidance, with your rules, at your location, at your date and time. Don't just let them go meet somebody in the park, right? That's bad. Make it someplace really populated, like the mall. I'm just saying. Or a sporting event, or why not at church? What's wrong with that? I don't have a problem with that. That'd be a good place to go. If something happens wrong, man, call us. Right? Please call us. Don't not call us, because I guarantee you, individuals who are looking for children aren't looking for one, right? How many of you guys have ever seen what a true commercial fisherman does when he goes out there to fish? Yeah, but how many poles does he put in the water? Met a bunch. Yeah, as many as he can, right? Because he's looking for the one big fish. These guys don't talk to just one person. These guys talk to a bunch of people. In fact, when we do these chat ops, we'll have guys talking, and he'll be talking to like 2 or 3 of my guys at the same time. And they're all trying to fish the same dudes, and that dude's trying to fish the same 3 kids. I'm like, really? But it happens.
How about overseas people doing it? Is it harder to catch one from overseas?
Well, we see it occur, but that's more images, right? Them wanting to send images back and forth. We don't really have many come from overseas. The farthest one I've ever had that came to meet a kid came from Minnesota, and he was actually the pilot of an airliner. Tried to get the DA's office to let us seize the airplane because he used it in the commission of a felony, and they said no. I said, man, it would look awesome with the logo on the side. I'm just thinking, no. Can you imagine going to a conference in that? Yeah, we rode in our own 747. So, yeah, they wouldn't do it. I tried. So kids are very capable. Remember that they can keep a lot of information. I'll be honest with you, I don't delete text messages. I keep everything. When one of the things that my unit does is we process cell phones. So in cases that come to us, we process the cell phone. And I'm here to tell you, kids will have, it's not uncommon to find a phone that has over 100,000 pictures on it. I mean, it takes a while to go through these. To go through chat messages, we'll see chat messages in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands because they just don't delete anything anymore. They don't need to, because now they have like all the space they could ever want. I mean, how many of you actually have your phone that's close to being full? None of you? Are you kind of close to being full? Yeah, see, so you get 70,000 pictures. So, but is your phone full?
Almost.
Oh, how many pictures do you have?
I don't, not many.
You're afraid to look?
Yeah.
My guys are afraid to look too, trust me, because that means they have to go through all of them. So, but if you have a situation, please contact NCMEC. They'll get to us. Right? They know how to find us. Trust me. I think they have my phone number. Report to the cyber tip line. Anyone who sends your child photos and videos containing obscene content, Anyone who asks your child to send sexual images, I want to know that guy, because we're going to go visit that guy. Just so you know, we're going to say hello. We are the wake-up team. Right? We will wake you up at 5:30 in the morning, so it's okay. We knock real loud. We have a universal door key if you don't open the door. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Size 14.
Oh no, it's about that big around, about that long, painted black, has big handles. And it swings really good. No, I actually hit a door frame one time and that didn't go over so well. The whole freaking wall went, sorry. And then the guy's like, but I have the key. Too late. So if anybody asks you to send those if anybody asks your kid to send those pictures, please let us know. We want to know that. If they're talking to your kid in a sexually explicit manner, I guarantee you, they will go down that path extremely fast. It is unreal. And then if they ask him to meet in person, that's the guy I want. We're going to go say hello to him. So please, if you find those, if somebody's talking to your kid, please let us know. All right? We're going to fly through this one. This one's pretty quick. Examples of cyberbullying, these are not that much uncommon in the real world. Unfortunately, you're going to send, they're not going to say mean things, they're going to send mean things. The problem is, in the vocal world, it goes in one ear, out the other, and it's gone. This lands in a text message and it stays. Right? It doesn't go away. We've seen them photoshopping pictures. Pastor, we've seen this one. Creating fake profiles, posting fight videos. That seems to be real big at the high schools right now, the posting fight videos. Spreading rumors and gossip, we see that all the time. Posting embarrassing pictures. The sending threatening or harassing comments. Sending harassing comments is one thing. Sending threats, if it can be imminently conveyed, like I'm going to come kick your butt and you're in the same classroom, that can be constituted as a terroristic threat. No, that's not a new offense. That's been around since I can remember.
What's the penalty for that one?
You can go to jail for that one. It's a Class B misdemeanor is where it starts.
Even for minors?
Even for minors. So most of all these laws extend all the way down to 10 years old. Right? 10-year-old is the culpability stage, right? So 11 years old, you do some of these things, you can be tried. Granted, it's going to be in the juvenile court. Now, you hit 16 or 17, the court can petition to take you into big boy court.
Yeah.
Right? The bad part with 17 is that screwed up age in the state of Texas, that you can do stupid stuff that you think you're a kid, and yet you're an adult. So now all of a sudden your kid just ended up in big boy jail. So be very careful when you start hitting those. And it's like I told my son, I said, son, if you're 17 years old and she can't buy you a beer, don't talk to her. I'm just telling you, don't talk to her. Don't run that age range that's going to get you in trouble. It's not worth the headache. Right? Same with girls. If he can't buy you a beer and you're 17, don't talk to him.
Gary, talk about that. When that girl committed suicide, were there any criminal charges against the other person?
No, because that was like a bunch of people. That was 5 or 6 people doing that. Go look up Amanda Todd, just like it sounds, Amanda and the TODD. And she's got there's a whole set of websites based on that whole story. And it's long. There's a lot of information in it, unfortunately. So the difference between cyberbullying and bullying, remember that cyberbullying is, bullying is like right here, right? Right here, right now, today. Cyberbullying is right here, right now, and then it's going to follow you home, follow you to school, follow you to your friend's house, follow you when you go to bed at night, be with you when you wake up in the morning. It's not going away.
The cyberbullying usually one person, like that one kid could tell their mom and have more 5 or 6 people.
Normally it's a one-on-one, or it's a 2 to 3-on-1. You know, the little clique breaks up, and one person is the outcast of the clique, and the clique all turns on the one. But big groups, we don't see that as much. It's the real small groups. And like I said, it follows your kid home, unfortunately, which is a bummer. It is rare. Cyberbullying and suicide is rare. That is not to say it doesn't happen. Right? Just be very mindful of your child and what's going on in their life to see what's happening. If they already have an underlying condition of depression, ADHD, some of those other things that can change mentally, if they're extreme OCD, that could be an issue. make sure you get help. Right? I think this one's gonna, yeah.
This is a line, and this line is mine. You will kindly find my feet and my spine are perfectly aligned. You'll also find that on either side is a plus and a minus sign. Right now I'm on this line, minus this. Now I'm on line. This is a line, and this line is mine. You will kindly find my feet and spine are on the plus side. Now I'd like to assign and also define what one might find on this side of the line. I will not pretend that there are no consequences of saying something offensive online, no matter what my ignorant friend says. Because words are all I have, and yeah, I know it's sad. We hide behind the mask of the latest social networking fad. So there's respect to my status, whether through Mark Zuckerberg or Tom, and I'll treat you the same in person, and yeah, I'll accept your friend request, Mom. This is a line, and this line is mine. You will kindly find my feet and my spine are on the minus sign. Now I'd like to assign and also define what one might find on this side of the line. Now I might seem unassuming, but if you only knew what I was doing, brewing, spewing, spitting venom when I'm at that screen, I ruin. Reputations I will splatter. Typing faster, I get madder. All the insults I will gather. You're so lucky, it's only sadder. Day. You have one day. Oh yes, Sunday, for my words to die away. And on that one day, oh I must say, you're gonna wish you had a different name. But then it's Monday, and at school, I'll remind them all of what I said. Then it's Tuesday, and then it's Wednesday, and then we'll all find out you're dead. This is a line, and this line is mine. And now that I've assigned what one might find on either side, you will kindly find that my feet and my spine are on the plus sign. And I'm not moving. Where are you?
Pretty good, huh?
That's awesome.
Yeah, Trend Micro, they do some pretty neat stuff. Spoken word is so important. So some of you guys might stop, if you're a victim, you might stop using the computer or cell phone. You're gonna start acting nervous. You're gonna be pretty uneasy about going to school. I mean, it's a lot along the lines of bullying, only with technological sides to it. How do we help them? Support your child in problem, solve together. Considering saving the evidence, I'm not gonna say consider saving the evidence. I'm gonna say save the evidence. Because what we've found is some of the new technologies, understand these presentations sometimes are a year, 2 years behind. Our cell phone companies that create the devices we use change almost monthly. And it's all about privacy. Well, unfortunately, when they delete things, they really do delete things. Some of the things we will never get back. So if you dump some of the evidence, we may never be able to get it back to help you. It becomes difficult to know what do you do with it. I mean, it's your child. Me personally, if I have a situation where my kid is being cyberbullied and I need to save the evidence, guess what I do with the phone? You don't get it back until we're done. You're the kid. My job is to protect you. It's done. I actually took my son's phone one year. He did some stupid stuff on it. Took him out to the garage, put him on the counter, pulled out my sledgehammer. Guess what happened? All kinds of pieces. And granted, it cost me another phone later, but not for about 4 months. He didn't get a phone back. You think he figured it out? Yeah, he figured it out. He figured it out pretty quick. My son was the one I was afraid that was not going to graduate high school. My daughter, she's a school teacher. Straight A student, graduated 3rd in her class. My son went to the Marine Corps, learned that he likes to do technology and works with his hands. Now he does diesel engineering for a large company, makes twice what she makes.
Yeah.
Totally makes her mad.
Yeah.
He figured it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are schools taking more initiative in cyberbullying than they have in the past?
Oh, it's still some of the, they have the same problem that we have in law enforcement. There aren't enough people. Technology has outraced us so quickly and so prevalently that we don't have the ability to stay up with them. Right? And unfortunately, there just aren't enough teachers, enough cops, enough anybody to take care of a lot of this stuff. They do a pretty good job, they try hard, but it still comes down to you.
I know it comes down, but it's more about the school side of it.
They're trying. They're trying, but we have to help as parents. Right? Remember, report it to Cyber Tip Line, talk to the school, whatever you can do. Now, if your kid is the bully, talk about this for a minute, we're almost done. I know he's back in the back going, oh, come on, hurry up, get finished, right? So if your kid is the bully, you need to look for those triggers, those things that you're looking for. You know, he's using the computer at all hours, she's using the computer at all hours. They'll get upset if they can't get to the computer to do what they want to do. They're going to avoid discussions about what they're doing. And I guarantee you, they have more than one account. I had a friend of mine one time tell me, well, I finally let my daughter have a Facebook account. Really? Well, yeah, because now I know I know about her Facebook. No, you know about the one she made with you. What about the other ones? He kind of looks at me for a minute and says, what? I said, you now know she knows how to make a Facebook page. Do you think she didn't know before? And you start to see the wheels turn. Uh-oh. I said, yeah, maybe you ought to talk to her. Find out what's going on. How many of you follow your kid's Facebook page? How many of your kids are going, Mom, stop stalking me? We stalk our kids. And they're 25 and 28. So, all right. Remember to establish expectations for online behavior. Where are you going? Who are you talking to? When are you talking to them? When are you coming back? What are you doing? All that kind of stuff you would do in the real world, do in the cyber world. Same rules, right? Set consequences. What are you going to do? Are you going to get grounded? Take away your devices? Right? Maybe you have to take away the car. I don't know. Take away the bicycle and motorcycle. Something to get their attention. And then we have to model online behavior. Good online behavior. If you're telling your kids not to do that, you don't need to be doing it either. Right? It's kind of hard to, like I said, it's kind of hard to explain when they become 25, 26 to their 4-year-old why they're nude pictures on the internet. That's going to be hard to try to force that one. All right, that one's actually,
Hey, Gary,
yeah.
you were just talking about the idea of following a kid, like spending some money trying to just show a kid who's maybe 15 years old, here's what's out there about it.
Mm-hmm.
And give them some documentation to show how they're perceived in this world. That's what we're doing.
Cybertipline.org.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
The NetSmarts website has all of that.
Right.
And it is age appropriate. So you can take them to the right ages they are now and let them see it. Then as you're more comfortable, you can move them up. And it has all of that information for them already there. Games, flashcards, all of it. Fantastic resource for you. Please use it. If you needed to, there's also the kidshealth.org, which you'll actually find at a bunch of the schools now. They're doing this as well inside the school districts, kidshealth.org. Right, some tech options we talked about earlier, individual apps, built-in security features, check with your mobile device carriers. They have stuff you can use already online. You can use it, just sign up for it and use it. Right? And then remember, technology can't catch everything, so you need to communicate. Right? And that is that.